Back when I was in college at the New School University, I had to test out of proficiency, meaning I had to take a jazz piano test and execute and display proficiency in certain improvisational items in order to allow me to study with the teachers that I wanted to and take the classes that I wanted to. Now, in this day and age, students like yourself face this issue, meaning you have access to so much information on the internet, on YouTube, even on websites that you pay for, but you really have no benchmarks that tell you where you're at and whether you can move on past the fundamentals. My new Jazz Piano Proficiency Improviser course is being released on Black Friday, and that's what this podcast is all about. I'm actually gonna let you take the tests for level 1 and 2 inside this podcast, and then going forward in the month of November, I'm gonna be releasing more podcast video lessons just like this, all on my Proficient Improviser course to help enlighten and empower you on the educational learning system for improving at improvisation and helping you reach your desired goal of improvising like a pro. Now, if you're interested in learning more about this course and the Black Friday offer that's coming out, go to jazzpianoschool.com/Black Friday 2025. With that being said, let's dive right in. I'm going to show you the tests. I'm going to let you take the tests, and I'm going to teach and show you a bunch more as well. So here we go. All right, now if that was intriguing to you and it's kind of in the vein of what you're trying to sound like, even though I didn't add much modern stuff in there, you got to start from the bottom level, from the ground up. That's going to be level 1, and that's going to be chord tones. I'm going to demo what that sounds like, and then I'm actually going to let you take my level 1 proficiency test on chord tones. This is coming directly from my brand new Proficient Jazz Piano Improviser course that's being released on Black Friday of 2025 this year. So here's what chord tones alone is going to sound like when I improvise. I have this on my benchmark tempo 120. That means if you can do this, you can move on to the next step. Just a little demo there, right? Now that sounds pretty good. Are you able to do that? That is the question, because that's level 1. That is actually level 1 of my Proficient Jazz Piano Improviser course. Now I'm going to give you the test right now. So we're going to switch the screen here, and I'm going to pull up level 1 test. This is actually coming straight from the course. Now you don't have to use your left hand like I did, but I'm going to play the iReal Pro backing track at 120. If you're near a piano, you can actually test yourself right now. And all I want you to do is improvise using chord tones, That's it. That's all I was doing. Isn't that pretty incredible? So you're going to hear 4 clicks, and then iReal Pro is going to start. Okay, are you ready? I'll give you some time to get to your piano or get you set up, or you can pause the video. You'll hear 4 clicks, and then you're in. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and go. Four more bars. Great. Now, if you made more than 2 mistakes, you didn't pass. I apologize. But the good thing is that this should have taught you something very, very important about improvisation from a learning standpoint. Most systems, memberships, teachers, they don't give you benchmarks or tests to really see where you're at. So how did you do, right? Taking this allows you to actually see where your skill set is. Because if you weren't able to pass this, if you made more than 2 mistakes, you felt very overwhelmed, you could barely get any sort of improvisational lines out, then guess what? This is the major issue that's holding you back in your improvisation right now. because you're not able to even complete this simple fundamental benchmark test, right? Now, if I go back to the screen here where I was demoing the tune, right? I could do this all day and make it sound good just like I did with chord tones. Right? So on and so forth. So that's actually level 1 of my Proficient Jazz Piano Improviser test. And the whole entire course goes through all the levels. So in order to practice this first level, you would work on all your chord tones. You got to work on soloing with your chord tones. Now, your chord tones are the first 4 notes, or excuse me, the 4 notes that make up every single chord. So when I'm on an A minor 7, I'm using all 4 notes of the chord. When I'm on a D minor 7, I'm using all 4 notes on the chord. Now, it makes sense, doesn't it, that if I play 4 notes that are within the chord, no matter what I play, it's going to sound good. It's going to reflect the sound of the tune. Now, if you're not able to do this, you're not reflecting the sound of the tune, aka, thus, your improvisation is not going to sound good, no matter what altered scale you learn, no matter what lick you learn, right? If you're not able to do this, your improvisation is never going to reach the level that I know you want and have probably been striving for a long time. So what's level 2? Well, let me teach you a little bit more about my Proficient Jazz Piano system. Chord tones is only 4 notes to the chord. Obviously, we have so many more things that happens in improvisation. Now, after you test out of improvisation, you can move on to one of my 3 styles, blues, bebop, or modern. And in my demo, I used a lot of blues and a lot of bebop over Fly Me to the Moon. I wasn't using so much modern stuff, but that is a different type of style, right? We have to be able to connect our chord tones somehow, right? Now, technically in Fly Me to the Moon, we have this chord here. This is really the 6th of the key of C. So I don't want to go too far into this, but you do have 2 different options for the theory gurus out there that might, be interested in this. We do have this F sharp and this F natural available. Now, I like to teach as simple as possible, right? So I really don't want to go into all this, but the main goal is most students have an adverse reaction to learning scales because of the way they're taught scales. Why do we need to learn scales? What's the purpose of a scale? The purpose of the scale is to take us from level 1 to level 2. And that is, in my system, going from chord tones and skips. You see these? These are all skips. Now, we do have this whole step there. Not worried about that right now. I address that a little bit later, but with these skips in soloing, right, my solo is going to sound very fragmented. And you might have noticed that. It sounds very jumpy. And if I solo, it sounds very broken and hiccupy. So what do we need here? What are we missing besides our skips? We need steps, and we need the glue notes that allow me to fluidly connect my chord tones together to create a smooth glass ice line, right? So that I can do things like this. Now, why did that sound so great? Well, A, I was using some bebop approaches. Okay, let's disregard that stuff. But B, more importantly, this line was so smooth because I was running up and down the piano using what? Using what? My scales, right? I forget what I played. Right? But in between my bebop approaches, I'm running up and down utilizing my scales. That's why it's so important. Now, what happens if we don't know our scales? We might play a bebop approach because we learned those on YouTube or our teacher taught us bebop approaches, but then in the middle, it's a mess. Right? Because we don't know the notes to our scales. We said, I don't need to learn scales. I don't want them. It doesn't teach me how to improvise. This is the exact reason we need our scales. It's not just to run up and down the scales. It's to connect our beautiful chord tones in level 1 together so that we can create smooth, fluid lines going up and down. And that, my friends, is level 2. Once we can do that, then we can start to add in those fancy bebop approaches that I was playing to connect my chord tones. Now, we don't always have to use scalar motion, meaning moving up and down in steps, right? We can definitely continue to use our skips, which we should, right? So I'm outlining the skip pattern here. I'm outlining this skip pattern here. And you're going to hear that a lot in bebop. But steps and smooth motion is such a huge part of improvisation that if you're not able to, again, utilize this fundamental concept of connecting our chord tones together using these glue notes. Now, I call them the glue notes because check it out. In these 4 notes here, we have the chord tones, and there's only 3 other notes. So essentially, you've learned 4 out of the 7 notes to the scale already. Can you believe that? You've already learned more than the majority, right? You got 4. The glue notes are going to be the 3 notes in between. So B, D, and F sharp or F, depending upon what type of scale you use. Again, I don't want to get into modes and stuff like that because everyone's going to run away. But with the B, D, and F sharp, that's only 3 notes. And those 3 notes in the middle of my chord tones, they create the scale. They allow me to go from A to C, and then C to D, and then E to G, right? So they're connecting the beautiful chord tones that make up the chord and the harmony to the tune. So it allows me to pass back and forth from my chord tones, which reflect the sound of the chord, aka giving me beautiful improvisation that I'm creating. Right? So now level 2 is really learning how to connect and move up and down your chord scales to play some beautiful step scalar motion improv. Here's what that sounds like at 120. I'll do a little demo for you. So on and so forth. So clearly, I was utilizing almost no skips. I think I had 1 or 2 skips in there, but I'm moving up and down the piano utilizing steps. Now, when I say steps, I mean either a whole step or a half step for the most part, right? Those are steps. Your skips are going to be mainly thirds. So now we have this brand new texture of steps, right, that we're practicing, and that's going to be level 2. So these 2 levels in my Proficient Jazz Piano Improviser course. Again, this is going to be goal 3 of my entire Proficient Jazz Pianist course. Goal 1 is comping, goal 2 is solo piano, and goal 3 is improvisation. Again, goal 3 is being released on Black Friday, and you can get all 3 goals with our offer. You can go to jazzpianoschool.com/Black Friday 2025 to get the offer when it comes out. But when we combine these first 2 levels of the course, we're developing an extremely solid foundation, because now when I demo this, right, if I'm using my left hand and I'm kind of improvising in a more professional manner, here's what it sounds like. Now it sounds a little bit better. It sounds more like jazz in that type of way. Now I'm adding some ornaments, some flourishes, things like that. My left hand is playing. So it sounds much better than if you were to do it alone with your right hand, right? I'm trying to make it sound better so you can really see where this goes. But once you got these first 2 levels down, then you can start to work on your bebop approaches. Because of the first 2 levels, now that we have our skips and our steps down and we're landing on chord tones on the downbeat, which is actually something I didn't even talk about yet, including our bebop approaches, we now start to easily, efficiently create a beautiful bebop sound. Now from here, from those first 2 levels, we can go to blues, we can go to modern, we can go to bebop. It really doesn't matter, right? So if I pull up the test now for you, okay, and we go through our chord scales here, improvising all with chord scales, right? And landing on chord tones on the downbeats of the chords, meaning when I use a scale, sorry, let me go back to this other view. Something that I didn't really mention too much is that when I was improvising I'm landing on chord tones to the chord on the downbeats of 1. Why? Because this reflects the harmony of the sound and makes your improvisation sound like you're playing over the chords. Again, 9 out of 10 times, so many students don't do this. They'll play, right? They might go, whoops, and hit a wrong note. It's not a chord tone. That F sharp is not part of the chord. This makes your improvisation not sound good, right? So we have to work on that. But when we go to the test here, if you take the level 2 test, let's say you pass the level 1 test, here's your level 2 test. Are you able to improvise at 120? 120 is always the benchmark. That lets you know you passed and you can move on, right? Are you able to improvise using chord scales and hitting chord tones on the downbeat? I'll let you try. I'll let you see for yourself right now. You ready? You're going to get 4 beats and then you're going to be into it. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, go. All right, that's it. That was the first A section. So how'd you do? Did you make 2 to 3 mistakes? Were you able to connect your chord tones with your chord scales? If not, again, you're missing major building blocks that I promise you are the exact things that are holding you back from sounding exactly the way that you want to in your jazz piano improvisation. Because these building blocks here in the early levels of my Proficient Jazz Piano Improviser are the things that carry over to blues, bebop, modern, and all the improvisation that you want to be able to play. Now, in my course, you can get direct access to all the exercises, the practice exercises, the tips, the tricks, the hacks that I teach you in order to accomplish this. But again, hopefully this has been an enlightening experience, because if you're not able to pass these tests, you're not passing out of proficiency, right? And when I went to the New School University, I had to pass out of proficiency. I had to test out of proficiency in order for them to let me study with teachers that I wanted to study with, in order for them to let me take classes that I wanted to take. Because if I wasn't able to do certain fundamentals, easy building block fundamentals of jazz that every professional jazz pianist should be able to do, they weren't going to let me study other stuff yet, right? One of the major issues in the online world is that you just don't know these things. You're learning all this advanced stuff from YouTube videos and teachers and membership websites, and you might even pay for a membership website, but you have no idea where you're at. You have no idea how to test yourself, and you're moving on to stuff that's way too advanced when you really haven't developed any solid foundation yet that easily allows you to integrate and layer on all the advanced stuff that I know you want. So if you enjoyed this, again, you're gonna absolutely love my Proficient Jazz Pianist course that includes Goal 1, comping, Goal 2, solo piano, and Goal 3, improvisation, which is gonna be released on Black Friday, included with our offer, along with our platform upgrade. So go to jazzpianoschool.com/Black Friday 2025 to learn more. I'm gonna be releasing more YouTube videos on all this improvisation to empower and enlighten you about the educational improvisational journey that I teach in my philosophies. And again, hopefully this will open your eyes to the way that you should be following some sort of structured learning curriculum that will allow you to drastically improve your improvisation extremely fast and save years and years and years of painstaking practice that may not be leading you anywhere towards your goal of improvisation or improvising like the way that you've always imagined. All right? Hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll talk to you soon.
Well, again, I hope you guys enjoyed that free lesson podcast. Definitely go to jazzpianoschool.com to check out all the other free education we have available there. There's over 300 free podcast video lessons, a blog, lick of the week, and so many free ebook resources. And again, if you are looking to take that next step on your jazz piano journey and go a little bit deeper, we do have a membership available as well with an amazing, thriving community, lots of templates and systematic courses that will ensure you achieve your jazz piano dream. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe this video so that you can stay up to date with all the other free podcast lessons we're going to release. And as always, have a fantastic day and happy practicing.